as well as the producer of the show is important. Because if the moderator wants to promote a particular viewpoint which he prefers, he can give more chance to the panelist whose view he agrees with. And there are high chances that he can cut short the answer of the panelist who he doesn't agree with. So therefore, in a panel discussion, when the people are watching at home on the television, if they're not aware of the media, how the media works, they may not know what goes behind the scene. So the moderator can sway the panel discussion. And secondly, it's also important the view, the integrity, and the intention of the producer of the show. Because if the intention of the producer of the show is not correct, and he wants to promote a view, even if on the panel, if there's an expert who can prove the viewpoint of the producer wrong, in the post-production, he can edit the portion which he feels is going against his view. So when you see a TV talk show, you have to keep in mind that what is the integrity and the intention of the producer and the moderator. Because if you doubt the intention of the producer and the moderator and the integrity, what you see finally on the television, in the TV talk show or the panel discussion, can be edited. And there are many instances we can give where we can prove that how it can be done. For example, when you're taking an interview, and suppose someone asks me that, what are your views regarding the policies of George Bush? And suppose if I reply that I do not agree with the policies of George Bush. In the post-production, you can easily edit do not. And it will sound in the show, I am saying, I agree with the policies of George Bush. Actually, I've said, I do not agree with the policies of George Bush. But on the show, it will appear that Zakir Naik is saying, by editing do not, I agree with the policies of George Bush. And if a person who's being interviewed, if he does not know the background of the media, and if he's shown his own interview, he may think, okay, it was a slip of the tongue. He may think, okay, by mistake I said, I agree with the policies of George Bush. So if you show his own interview, and if he does not know how the post-production is done, he will think it was a slip of the tongue. Actually, it wasn't a slip of the tongue. So that's the reason the integrity of the producer of the show and the moderator is very important. And this can even happen more in a panel discussion, where what can be done, that parts of the other panelists can be shown along with the person who you differ with. And he can be made to appear that he's agreeing with the view of the producer of the moderator. So therefore, a panel discussion is more dangerous as compared to a plain TV interview. So that's the reason I personally prefer giving a public lecture and a TV talk as compared to appearing on a TV interview or a panel discussion or TV talk show. But between the three, as I mentioned, I would prefer a TV interview because there's less chances of editing. And even after you edit, if you have said everything correctly, there's less chance of manipulation. But if the intention of the moderator or the person who's the host, who's taking the interview, or the intention of the producer is evil, then there's little chance that you can undo it. In a panel discussion, the moderator has more flexibility of putting down the person he wants to put down and uplifting a person who he wants to uplift. So a panel discussion, I personally prefer being out of a panel discussion unless I'm sure that the integrity of the moderator and the person who's conducting the show and the producer, it is honest, and I believe in it. I normally prefer staying out of panel discussions.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir, for explaining that point. We understand this integrity and intention are very vital for you, but we are ultimately human. We may err in this judgment. Ultimately, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is absolute in this kind of understanding. Dr. Zakir, on how many non-Islamic Indian television channels have you appeared on for TV interviews, panel discussions, or TV talk shows? And what is your experience about these appearances?
As far as appearing on non-Muslim TV channels for TV interviews, for TV talk shows, the panel discussion, I have attended more of the foreign ones, foreign TV channels than Indian TV channels. Many times in UK, in South Africa, in USA, in many countries, in different parts of the world. As far as Indian TV channels are concerned, as far as my memory goes, maybe I've attended approximately 5. I remember the first one that I attended was a talk show conducted by Farooq Sheikh. And the program was Mard. And the topic of that program was Biwi Ho To Kaisi. You know, that was the first one I attended. And the second one that I remember is I had a panel discussion. It was a live show done by CNN IBN. And I was in the Bombay studios of CNN IBN. And there were 2 panelists from Delhi. That was the second one. And third one, as far as memory goes, was a TV interview that was conducted by R.K. Bajaj on the RKB show. That's on Sahara channel. And the fourth one, again, I think, was the TV interview. It was a different type, on Walk the Talk by Shekhar Gupta, who is the editor-in-chief of Indian Express on NDTV. And the last one recently, just 2 weeks back, or rather 3 weeks back, it was aired 2 weeks back, on the NDTV. And the program was We the People, which was conducted by Barkhadat. And the topic was Muslim identity. So these were the 5 programs as far as memory goes.
Means only 5 programs you appeared on. All these years with thousands of lectures on one side and only 5 programs.
If you ask,
you got an opportunity only for that.
I've been asked hundreds of times to appear for talk shows and for panel discussions, at least few hundred, by many channels. You name the channels, you could say easily most of the channels that have talk shows. I've been asked to appear on many of them, at least a few hundred times. But personally knowing that because I already do come on various other satellite channels, I don't want my views to be changed or to be altered. Because of that, I know what the background is. And I personally don't really think that most of the shows that take place are with the true intention of the topic. Because I doubt that since for a normal man it's different. For me, since I'm a man of the media, and I appear on various satellite channels, and Peace TV alone, alhamdulillah, has a viewership of more than 100 million. And that is absolutely, it's a direct view without the producer of these public lectures or TV shows, without altering the view, and I trust the integrity of the other Muslim channels. That's the reason, because I know that they will not change my view. I've appeared several times on Muslim channels. Because of that, I take care, because I had very bad experiences in these past few TV talk shows. So because of bad experiences, and when I speak to other people who have been on the show, they too have that. And I really agree with you when you said that we cannot actually judge one's integrity until we have proof for the same. Now, because I have spoken with other people who have been on the talk shows, I'm talking about those people who know the media. A person who does not know the media, and if he goes on a talk show, he will not know what goes behind the curtain. So once the talk show is aired, then you can say and be sure what was the integrity of the moderator and what was the integrity of the producer.
We'll continue the discussion, but after a short break.